I do my best to sound the same every day, but
Well, it's not. It's the room. If the room changes, it's not your voice that's changing as much as your location. The amount of clothes you have on the floor.
whoa. I do not have clothes on the floor, thank you very much.
Those situations but make it sound different. It's not.
They are very well hung up like a legitimate adult.
Not a slovenly bastard. Not a slovenly bachelor is the word I was looking for. Sorry. That was not a Freudian slip, Ryan. That was not a Freudian. Slovenly bachelor is the word I was looking for. Welcome to My Hill to Die On, episode 94.
Everyone has things they're passionate about.
Things we want our friends to try and experience.
So we've convinced each other to try different things.
And we talk about these experiences to see if we can get just one more person
to join us on our hill to die on.
All right, Ryan. I went skiing again.
So you're going to tell me how it went, so well.
Unfortunately, if it went well, it wouldn't be a story, right? I mean...
Well, that's what we talked about when we were talking about, the death books. When it's business as usual, there's no story there.
Yeah, I ended up pulling my groin muscle really badly. So we talked about back in episode 71 when I broke my thumb while skiing. This was another debilitating injury.
I would assume so.
Yeah. It was a great day. I mean, one of the interesting things about our break this year was that it didn't line up with Japanese school closures. Often it does, but this time around it didn't. So early in the week, we could go out and things wouldn't be crowded because Japanese school is still in session. So me and my family packed up and went skiing, and the course was empty. There was no one there. It was great. Beautiful snow. We rented our skis, got up on the mountain, started skiing. I took some amazing pictures already. I was very pleased. Part of the reason why I like to go skiing is I like to take pictures. So I took a lot of good pictures at the top, and we were skiing down, and almost to the bottom, we were at a spot where we were slowing down, and the hill was getting a bit steeper, and I was trying to not go too fast, and my skis were splitting further apart, and I tried to yank it back, and just yanked real hard and pulled my groin muscle out while I was doing that. So I was like,
I know I shouldn't laugh, but...
No, I am not a good skier. Beginner is a generous word. But I was having fun still. I realize, I think I said this last time we were talking about skiing too, is I realize I don't like to go fast. I like to have fun. So I liked that the slopes were very gentle. The place that I did pull my muscle on was because this was the part of the course where there was a massively steep hill. It was a black diamond hill, but I look at it and I'm like, wow, who skis down this? And then you see people flying by, total control over what they're doing. I'm like, wow, they're amazing. Anyway, the part of the course where I pulled my muscle was the gentle part was crossing over the steep part. It was crossing to the other side to continue on the gentle part. And it was steeper than the gentle part normally is, but it was definitely more shallow than the steep part normally was. So I was thinking, okay, I can do this. And in fact, I had done a little bit of it already. I think I had done already one or two zigzags so that I could get a little further down, because actually it's crossing over and slightly down. So I had gone a little further down already, and I was telling my daughter, who was behind me, who was also nervous, that, we could do this. And then, of course, I was trying to turn on a zigzag and then couldn't get my ski to do what I wanted to. So very sad. So then I called my wife. She happened to be that moment at the base camp already anyway. So I called her up and asked her to talk to the desk and see if they could send a snowmobile to pick me up, because I could not move. I was in pretty big shock. Later I realized that the amount of shock pain that I was feeling was the same amount that I broke. Now, this time I didn't feel any pops or anything like that. It just hurt tremendously. So I was worried that I could have done something more than just pull, but at the time I was thinking, I hope it's just a pull, but I don't think it's worse. Later doctor visits proved that to be true. Is a very bad pull, but nothing popped or broken. So that's good news still.
Yeah.
But at the time, the shock pain was still pretty bad. Like, I couldn't walk, I couldn't stand. I stood up, but then I got dizzy pretty quickly. So she asked them to send the snowmobile to pick me up. I love Japanese stuff like this. I said, because there happened to be signs along the course, and I said I was at orange number 3. And my wife said to the guy, orange number 3 in Japanese. And the guy said, do you mean yellow number 3? And I said, okay, fine, yellow number 3. I think the sign must have been yellow at some point, but it's now orange. Or it's one of those things where Japanese people call green lights blue lights. Could be one of those things too, but it was pretty funny to me. I was like, sure, yellow number 3. To me, it looked orange, but I'm sure it must have faded or something over time to be more orange. I don't exactly understand how that worked, but anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. So then I get on the snowmobile and get down. And later, the guy said to my wife, he said that he was glad for the practice of picking me up. Of course, most people don't get injured while skiing because most people are good, especially people that go to that place probably. The people that go to that resort are probably really good because the main slopes are the steep slopes. Mm. The shallow slopes that me and my family were skiing on, I don't think they get a lot of use. They probably do, but the main slopes are the steep slopes. I don't think people get that injured, and they were thankful that they had the practice of picking somebody up. It just doesn't happen often enough for them. Yeah, well, I don't want to be that guinea pig, but I'm glad I could help them out too.
Sorry, I'm just laughing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, it's funny now. It hurt a lot back then, and I mean, I had to lie down for like an hour, and finally the shock had gone away.
I'm just glad that when you were saying that you had to call the snowmobile, I was remembering the last snowmobile story.
Yes.
What their reaction was. And so I think it was laughing at the relief that it wasn't quite that.
Yeah, they weren't calling me an idiot when I got down to the bottom of the mountain this time. That was good.
So what you're saying is, let's see, you went skiing over break and got injured. Mm-hmm. And then the last time prior to that you went skiing over a break, you got injured.
I mean, it wasn't the last time I went skiing, but yes, a few times ago. Okay. 3 years ago.
Oh, is it been 3 years now?
Yeah, 2023.
Wow. So I have to ask, is it worth the risk anymore?
I know. I don't know. I wonder that too. I am not a good skier. And in fact, I mean, the last time I went skiing, I didn't get injured per se, but my muscles were very sore following that, which did affect my running.
Oh, so you're running really well right now.
Right now I'm not running at all. Like I was just getting over the pull of my hamstring from my race, which I talked about in the last episode. And now I don't know if I'm going to be running in that race in May that I hoped to run in.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking is with all these things happening to you, I don't know if you're going to make that second half marathon.
I know. I still haven't registered.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have a 10K that day, so I could potentially register for the 10K instead. I don't know. I think if I do register, it might be wise just to do 10K. Because, yeah, I'm not going to get the distance in I need to get to half marathon probably. But I probably could do a 10K at half marathon pace. Or hopefully even slightly faster, but we'll see. Anyway, it's disappointing.
Yeah.
I would rather be running. I don't like not running.
I get you.
Maybe I should just go take pictures because that's what I like to do anyway. I let my kids ski because they're doing pretty well. And just go take pictures. Just get some snow boots that I can run around the snow with and take pictures of them.
I mean, that's the big thing is you've been going skiing more and more because your kids like it. Mm-hmm. So when I was asking the is it worth it kind of question, the part of my brain that said, but the purpose is, at least from my understanding for you, is to give your kids that experience that they really enjoy and they love doing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think that, at least from my perspective, you don't want to lose that.
Nope. Yeah, so I think maybe we'll still go, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see how much they're still interested.
Well, it depends on how many times they get injured themselves.
Yeah. So far, they haven't gotten injured at all. Yeah, they've done pretty well.
I know that the thing that drove me away from doing skiing was the fact that the very first time I did any kind of mountain sport, like skiing, snowboarding, and all that, my first time down the hill, I broke my tailbone.
Oh, goodness.
So if you can guess, that being my first experience, how eager do you think I am to rush back to that hill?
Yep. I get you. Actually, Ryan, I have another trip story if you want me to tell you another trip story. This one's a lot shorter.
I will say that when you came up to me and said, Ryan, we need to think of another beginning topic, I went, the problem is most of the things that go on in my life that I could talk about are either really timely or really contentious. Because, I love to talk about really contentious things way more than I probably should.
Well, and this one's kind of timely. but it's all over now anyway too. I'm like, it's past. But I took my wife on a date. We don't often get to do this, but none of my kids wanted to go. So we were like, and my wife actually was pretty interested, which I was pleased about. But I took my wife to the World Baseball Classic game that they held here in Tokyo between Korea and Australia, which was a pretty good game to go to. It was one of the pool games that they played, so one of the first round games. And it was an interesting pool this year because, I don't know, on some of the YouTube videos I watched online, Korea was kind of favored, but they lost to Taipei, a Chinese Taipei or Taiwan, where they probably shouldn't have. But hey, good for Chinese Taipei. They pulled out a win. And Korea was going against Australia, and they had to win by 5 runs, but they had to keep Australia from scoring more than 2 because of the way the pool play works, because Korea had lost to Japan also. So Korea had lost 2, Australia had lost 1, and if they lost this one, that would be their second loss. And then Taipei had lost 2, but won 2. So like there was 3 teams tied for second place. So to break the tie, Korea has to win by a certain number of runs. So they had to win by 5, but they couldn't keep Australia from getting more than 2 runs. So they actually pulled it off exactly. They won 7-2. So it was a great outcome for Korea. Exactly what they wanted. I didn't even realize while I was watching the game that it was that close. I knew they had to win by 5, but I didn't realize at the time that they had to keep Australia down to 2 runs or less. I didn't know that was the deal. We arrived. We ate dinner at that Lakwa Mall right there. Good deal. And then we headed in, and I didn't realize that the line going in was going to be so long. We had arrived in plenty of time, but we didn't get to see the first pitch or them singing the national anthems. We wanted to see them sing the national anthems. We didn't get to see that because we were in the line trying to get in at that point. But it's okay. One of the very interesting things, we sat down, the game was about to start, and we saw all of the people around us were taking pictures of somebody in one of the boxes, one of the viewing boxes, where the rich people sit. Well, although we had pretty good seats, actually. I was pretty pleased about that, even for not too much money.
Well, yeah, because you could see where the rich people sit.
That's right. We could see where the rich people were sitting. We weren't above them, that's for sure. Yes, we weren't in the nosebleeds. But everybody's taking a picture. And my wife was pretty sure that it was the person who threw the first pitch. And it must have been a Korean pop star, because everybody was swinging their cameras to take pictures of him. It was funny because we're sitting on the third base line right behind the Korea dugout, and everybody is not taking pictures straight ahead. They're taking pictures at a right angle behind the catcher's mound, and we're like, oh, okay. So I took some pictures. I had taken my camera, my nice camera with a zoom lens, so I took a few pictures, and you could see some of the people in there. I actually recognized one of the guys in that box was a former Korean baseball player, because I had seen him on TV before. He's a Western guy. Came from America, I think. He played on the Korean baseball teams for a while. But I recognized him. There was a Korean pop star up there. So they were taking pictures every once in a while of him throughout the game. But we stayed through the whole game. It was a little bit on the longer side because it was definitely a close game for quite a while. Korea pulled ahead toward the end, I think. So, yes, it was an exciting game. I like going to the Tokyo Dome. I like that the World Baseball Classic happens here in Japan. I want to keep going. Yeah, we went 3 years ago, I think, back when we watched Korea play China. I think it was China back then. Not Taiwan. Yeah, they played China and they won by a lot. So it was not as fun of a game, but it was the first time my daughters got to see a baseball game.
Is that when you were talking about how they were keeping score?
Yeah, but keeping score on paper. Yeah, I decided not to do that this time. I decided just to have fun watching, which I think was pretty good for me this time around. But it also would be nice to have a piece of paper that said when they got the runs, have a permanent record of that, but that's okay.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
Yep, I enjoyed it. And so then Korea did advance to the quarterfinals, but then they got knocked out in the semifinals. But it had been the first time that Korea had got advanced to the semifinals in a number of years. I forgot. It had been a while, so they were very excited to advance. But they got knocked out by, I think, Dominican Republic. One of the nice things, too, is the whole WBC broadcast rights in Japan were aired on Netflix. So we were able to watch the rest of the games played throughout the series. Well, we were able to watch before the game on Netflix, and we watched the rest of the games on Netflix also. So we saw America lose, unfortunately, to Venezuela at the finals. But, oh well, that's the way things go. But we were able to watch the rest of the series there. We were rooting for Japan, too. I mean, Japan and Korea made it along, but Japan lost in their semifinal, and Korea lost in their semifinal. Neither of them made it to the... Oh, that's right. They lost the quarterfinals. I hate those words. Wait, quarterfinals is when there's 8 teams, and semifinals is when there's four teams. So, yep, it was I had lots of fun going. I'm glad I could go. I'll have to look when it comes back. But yeah, it's fun to go to this tournament while it's in Japan. You don't go to the games where Japan plays, though, because those games are expensive. My goodness.
Yeah, you have to go when everybody else is playing because the people in Japan care less about those ones, so they're not quite as expensive.
And since I root for Korea, it's easy to go when Korea is playing. So, yeah.
As I said, sounds like fun. So, Nate, I found a drink that was interesting.
I think so. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I think this one might be actually good. So, it is a CC lemon, vitamin mikan.
Yes. Vitamin mikan. So, or vitamin mandarin. How do you translate that in English? Anyway.
I would say, tangerine maybe? Mandarin is probably closer.
Yep, the nice small oranges that Japan has often in winter that taste very good, easy to peel, very good. So yes, my household enjoys them frequently.
Yeah, they are definitely a go-to.
You buy the box and you can even a whole box of 4 kilograms goes away in 2 days. I mean... Well,
maybe not.
In my household it does.
Oh yeah, in your household, but in my household there is only me.
Yeah, so I mean, interestingly, I think this drink, while I am a fan of the mikan and the lemon flavors, I'm curious how they're going to mix. I have faith in CC Lemon that it usually does this kind of mixing pretty well.
Usually, yes.
Usually. I think this still could fail, but I have high hopes. CC Lemon is often a winner. And this is even 500? Yeah, it's 500 milliliters.
Yeah, I mean, what more can we ask for?
I mean, it's still the 1% fruit juice, but, that's par for the course for CC Lemon.
Yeah, well, I mean, what can we do, though? I mean, I am optimistic about this. I'm just going to crack it open.
Yeah, let's see. What's the smell?
Ooh,
yeah, you can smell the mikan. It smells good, too.
That smells really good.
All right, let's see. Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, I really like that.
It's got the lemon at the beginning and the mikan at the end.
Yeah, it's the aftertaste of mikan, yeah.
Okay. That's pretty good.
I'm trying to decide between 8.5 and 9.
I think I might only go to 8.
Yeah.
Because I think just mikan's just not my favorite flavor. I think they have done it very well here, so I think an 8 is well deserved.
Yeah, 8 sounds good. I'm drinking more and more of it, and yeah, I think 8 is probably where it lands. It's definitely an 8. I think I was originally thinking a little bit towards a 9 because I was just really, frankly, surprised that how good it was. And I can tell you the simple reason why I'm surprised how good it was. The past couple of drinks have not been stellar. Yuzu and honey. I don't know. The ume was good, but it wasn't stellar.
Yep.
I think the kiwi drink was like a 7.5 pointing up because you won't let me have my decimals. So basically, this is like, I've had a lot of somewhere around like 5 to 7 range lately. And this just felt so refreshing that it wasn't meh.
I agree.
This is actually good. Really good. So, yeah, 8, though, I think is the correct number.
Okay.
All right. And unfortunately, we do not have a snack today.
Yeah, too bad. There hasn't been any good Kit Kats. I mean, I've seen a bunch of Kit Kats, but all the ones we've already tasted.
Yeah. So, clearly, we need to go to the factory and request them to be weirder.
Ask for more.
We just need to go and ask them to be weirder. So, I'm going to talk to you about Control. Control.
I don't think I've heard of this one.
Okay, good. Control is a fun game that came out a number of years ago. It's made by Remedy Studios, and the basic idea is that you are a woman named Jessie who is originally looking for her brother. And in looking for her brother, she goes to the Federal Bureau of Control.
Okay. Federal Bureau of Control. Is this like a 1984 kind of scenario?
Not quite. Because the Federal Bureau of Control, their job is to essentially protect or control elements of the supernatural that might interfere with the United States. So their job is to basically block essentially supernatural interference in the world.
So it's not to control the population.
No, it's not controlling the populations. It's actually controlling the outside elements that are problematic.
Okay.
So as she's looking for her brother, goes to this Federal Bureau of Control, she comes across the current director. Unfortunately, this is going to be triggering for some people. They have shot themselves with a essentially fantastical gun that embedded their consciousness into the gun. There's reasons. And it's only a kind of embedded their consciousness into that gun. Then Jesse has to pick up the gun and then in doing so becomes the new director of the Federal Bureau of Control.
Just by so this is like a Santa Claus kind of thing. You wore the hat, you're now Santa Claus?
Kind of. The gun connects them to the organization that is actually like in charge of and running control. Part of it is also the reason she finds this entire situation is because something has gotten loose in the Federal Bureau and a bunch of things have been taken over by an entity called the Hiss.
Okay.
And so she goes through this building and tries to find out what happened, where her brother is, and stop the Hiss from essentially taking over and getting out of the building. Now, the things that are really cool about this is because it plays around with all these supernatural elements and basically a government organization around trying to control these things, there are some really interesting things. There are moments where it kind of plays into some Twilight Zone kind of vibes. So that's probably the best parallel I can give you is it's a Twilight Zone kind of feel where everything is not quite how it's supposed to be.
Okay.
And I mean, let me put it this way. There is one point in the game where you battle a sentient refrigerator.
It's an everyman hero story though. That's which is the kind of thing I like in some ways.
It is. She comes into her power through this interaction with the gun and this entity that actually has been protecting her from the Hiss without her knowing. And part of it has to do with why her brother is in the Federal Bureau of Control. And the reason I wanted to bring this game up is that in, I believe it's later this year, the sequel of this game is coming out. Where you are not currently in control of Jessie. You're actually going to be controlling her brother, the one that she was searching for. Which is very odd because of where the first game ended. And I do not know why, and I am very curious.
Okay.
So it is a really interesting game. One of the most excellent set pieces, though, is there is a part of the building that is actually kept very locked down, and the only way you can get into it is by listening to a tape deck that basically blocks out all of the other senses that might lead you astray, because this room in this area is trying to lead you astray. You actually travel to this special area by listening to this tape deck and just walking through it and like traveling through it. But the way they do that is essentially they have this really heavy metal rock album come on as you're journeying through this, and all the Hiss are coming at you. And so it just becomes this giant cinematic set piece where you're flying through the area. And the band that's playing there is actually a band that is a real band that then got kind of brought into becoming a fake metal band as well in this game universe, because this is also the company that made the games Alan Wake. And so they created a band called the Old Gods of Asgard. And in all these different games, which take place in the same world, this real rock band takes on the persona of the rock band, the Old Gods of Asgard, and plays heavy metal music in the setting and content of this world. So it's one of those things that it is really interesting. I think the set design, the music design, and the game design are just fantastic. It is a really interesting game and just a whole lot of fun. But yeah, there is a lot of overlap between Alan Wake, this game, and it all has to do with kind of that overlap of supernatural and fantastical elements and the real world, kind of a Twilight Zone kind of feel. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really looking forward to the sequel coming out. is what this all comes down to.
So how long did you recently play this, or are you playing it again now?
No, I have not recently played this. I am only bringing it up because of the sequel. I played it back in 2019.
Okay.
2019 or 2020, somewhere in that ballpark. So it was a while ago. And by a while ago, I now mean 6 years ago.
Yeah, 2019. It's been a while.
Yeah. Maybe it could have been 2021. But it wasn't any later than that. Mm-hmm. But it was somewhere in that 2019 to 2021 kind of range. So that's why I haven't talked about it, because it's been a while. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is a really cool game. I really much enjoy it. They definitely have some weird things that they do as you're journeying through the world. They give you glimpses of some backstory things through TVs popping on and having essentially in-world media that is also in-world propaganda. So, like, it is the Bureau creating propaganda videos to convince their workers that what they're doing is the right thing, playing as you're walking through the building. It is great. And so it really gives you a understanding of the way that the world works and what they believe about this. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's a fun game.
Cool. The art looks pretty neat.
Yes. And, you know, even though you start as kind of an everyman, by the end of the game, you are literally flying around the building, throwing things at enemies with your mind. So, again, it is a very fun game, very weird game, and I love it. So, Nate, mm-hmm. The book that you had me read had to deal a little bit more with, shall I say, spycraft.
Yes. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There was an undertone, for sure.
I would say more than undertones. Not quite overtones. Maybe just tones.
It was a plot point. It was a good plot point.
It was a very good plot point, and it kind of got really revealed at the halfway mark.
Yes, that is actually one of my notes. Anyway, yes, I agree.
So because of that, we felt like we should talk about other spy stories.
And actually, I thought this was a little bit tougher to pick. I was looking back at the time we did it with Dan Morin when we picked spy stories, and it was spy and heist, which I think makes it a little easier.
Yes, and I think I leaned into the heists.
Yes, it's good. So that gives you some spy stories to pick now.
Yes.
I think this time, I was realizing, looking back through my recent reading history, I don't have enough spy stories that I've read that I can pick from.
Oh, come on. You have like an entire series of...
Well, besides that series, which we'll get to, yes. But I don't have enough spy stories in general, so I need to read more spy stories. I am going to say it. We're going to put the Dan Morin books on the table. I think we're going to mention them because they're excellent.
So what you're saying is I'm not allowed to pick a Dan Morin book for...
Right. The Caledonian Gambit, Bayern Agenda, Nova Incident...
Well, there goes one of my picks.
Did you want to pick it?
I was gonna, but I have other things I can pick.
Sorry. Because otherwise we'd just be picking all Dan Morin stories.
No, not all of them. I was going to pick one and then pick, something else.
Oh, okay.
No, it's all right.
All right. I mean, they're most excellent. Everybody should go read them. They are my first pick, really.
Yes, they are excellent books.
Everybody go read Dan Morin, and now we'll pick some extras that you can read too.
Yes, because the Dan Morin books are excellent.
Oh, they're very good. Especially when you get to the fourth one, it just caps everything off. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And so for those of you who haven't read them and have ignored our past episodes on them,
Phew, hard to ignore them. They're excellent. You should listen to those too. Because we have Dan Morin on the episode, that's why they're good episodes.
We had him on twice, actually.
I think so, right? Read the books because they're really good. And then
Yeah.
listen to Dan Morin talk about the books even more, which is excellent.
Yeah. In those books, the quick premise is it is a galactic Cold War. There is essentially a republic and an empire that are at odds with each other, but not quite having a hot war.
Yep. They're cat and mouse around.
Yep. And so this is all of the hidden spy craft that goes on behind the scenes that in many cases is an attempt to keep the Cold War from going hot.
Wonderful stuff.
They're great books. On that note, Nate, what would you pick if you can't pick a Dan Morin book?
If I can't pick a Dan Morin book, one of the things I did notice was that there were some good Star Trek spy stuff, and we had mentioned one of them in the Dan Morin episode too. Well, there's a number of good ones, and I'm going to save the other ones for another time we read a spy book, because I bet you will read another spy book at some point in the future. So we will come back to this again in Star Trek. They have a number of good episodes. I'm going to pick, though, the TNG episode Face of the Enemy, where Troy is kidnapped, Counselor Troy is kidnapped and forced to be a spy, or just a pawn in the spy games of the Romulan Empire. Troy is forced to be part of the Tal Shiar, the Romulan intelligence agency. So she stands in for that. Very uneasy being that pawn in the game, but she stands in and gets everything done and does end up coming out alive, which is pretty good considering all the danger she was in. But that is a very fun episode. Oh, sorry, of course she comes out alive. It's an episodic TV series, and she needs to be there for the next one. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you didn't realize what Star Trek was. The world is never at risk, Ryan. No, the characters are never at risk, except for one of them, I guess. But going back to just Star Trek as a whole, there's a lot of good ones in Deep Space Nine.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm going to save a few other good ones for Deep Space Nine another time. But there's a lot of good spy ones in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, especially because of the way that Deep Space Nine is built around...
Yes. The station and standing still, right?
The station standing still, and we're right after a war has been settled.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There's just so much. And, anytime you're dealing with the Cardassians.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, I'll save it for another time, but I almost picked the book by Andrew Robinson, who wrote a backstory on Garrick. I did read that book, and it was very good. So another time, though, I'll pick that.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to pick Garrick as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, almost. You can almost do that.
Yeah, it was either that or I thought you were going to go with Chain of Command.
That's a good one, too. Because they are infiltrating. Yes, they are being spies on that one. That's a good one, actually. I don't know. Face of the Enemy is always a good... The other interesting thing about... I think where Face of the Enemy sits in the episode order, like, it sits in a very good place. Yeah, like Tapestry is next. Okay. Aquiel's before that. Okay, if you don't count that one, as everyone shouldn't. Chain of Command was 4 episodes before that. Well, 3 and 4 episodes before that. Ship in a Bottle's after that. Then Aquiel, then Face of the Enemy, Tapestry, Birthright Part 1 and 2, Starship Mine, which is one of the ones I love too, where Picard is being chased through the ship by terrorists. There's a whole bunch of good stuff in this season, like right in a row, boom, boom, boom.
You even get Thomas Riker.
Oh, is that in there too?
Yeah, that's Second Chances, episode 24.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Frame of Mind, The Chase, Suspicions is a good one. There's lots of good stuff in this season right here. Even in, Fistful of Datas before that. Rascals is one of my favorites. True Q. Yeah. Anyway, Schisms. So, yeah, lots of fun stuff. Relics. Anyway, lots of fun stuff. Okay. Season 6 is chock full of good episodes. And so I feel like, yet again, having Face of the Enemy like right in the middle there, it's just a banger right in the middle of other bangers. So
I was just wondering if you were going to go with Chain of Command, because there are 4 lights.
Yeah, there are 4. Mm-hmm. I've sent my brothers a bunch of memes. There are 4 lights. Fun stuff.
Yep. All right. So I'm also going to start with a TV show, but I'm going to pick a TV show that is very lighthearted because I felt like choosing something that was a little bit more silly. So I'm going to pick an anime. So there is an anime called Spy X Family.
Oh, I think I've seen this. Yeah.
Yes, you've probably seen it. There's advertisements that get used everywhere. Well, it's written out Spy X Family. It's often just Spy Family,
right?
Is how it's described. The big thing here is the plot is the main character is a spy for one country, and he is trying to infiltrate and get in close to a member of a very, shall I say, war-leaning member of parliament. And so he is trying to basically get in close to him. But the only public appearance this guy makes is at a special party to celebrate his kid. So he is told by his spy organization that he needs to basically create a fake family and get that kid to be an honor student so they're also invited to this party. So he then adopts a child out of a orphanage, and she turns out to be a mind reader, like a
telepath.
Yeah, telepath. She can read people's minds. So she immediately knows that he's a spy. And then to get into this school apparently emphasizes family values. And so he also needs to find a fake wife. And it just so happens that the person he ends up convincing to get into a marriage of convenience with him is also an assassin. Now, the entire story is he's a spy, the wife's an assassin, the daughter is a telepath, and all three are basically trying to hide the truth from each other. And hilarity ensues. It is an adorable show. It has some very fun aspects, but it is all based in this world that is essentially, there is a Cold War between these two countries that are fighting behind the scenes through spies and things like that. Yeah, it's just a fun show. I highly recommend it, but the major plot, the major premise is the fact that they are all trying to hide the truth from each other, because if anybody finds out the truth about any of them, essentially both their family will fall apart, because eventually, yes, part of the big thing in the story is that they all start to genuinely care for each other. But the other side of it is that if anybody finds out about them, the spy would be clearly murdered because he is a spy in a foreign country. The assassin would probably also be murdered. And the mind reader basically has been trying to hide under the radar because there's a history there that they haven't revealed.
Okay. But you already know. Was it a comic first that you read?
It is a comic first. I've read part of it, but after it came out as an anime, I just started watching the anime, and I haven't been keeping up with the manga since then. But like I said, it is very lighthearted. It is, frankly, really adorable and really fun. And because the mind reader knows everything and is a telepath, she is basically constantly causing so much problems. Because she knows that the person playing her father is a spy, and she knows the person playing her mother is a super strong assassin. And she is excited by that. She thinks it's interesting and fun because she's like 6 years old.
Is there like a whole season of shows? How many?
There are 3 seasons right now, if I recall correctly. I really enjoy it, and there's lots of interpersonal drama because that's what anime does.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Yep. I am going to pick for the last one. You've alluded to it already. I'm going to pick the Spy School series of books, but I'm going to pick specifically, because I've read all of them so far.
All right.
I am going to specifically pick Spy Ski School.
Spy Ski School.
Spy Ski School.
Because that's not a mouthful.
Yep. Spy Ski School is the 4th book in the series. And one of the things that I like about it a lot is that they've developed some good characters throughout the first 3 books. It puts them in another situation, yet the situation that they are put in this time throws some of the characters for a loop, because some of the characters who were really good in the first 3 books gets put in a situation where they're not really good. There's a storyline that does move along in this book that's kind of good. And there's a few characters that get more developments in their storyline. Like one of the main characters' friends, before he was in Spy School, his story gets a developing turn. The 2 main characters, Ben and Erica, their storyline is developed. So there's a bunch of things that happen in this book that I think makes this one good. better than some of the others, because some of the others make a development here or there, but this one has like 2 or 3 developments that are all like, it's not like, oh my goodness, we bent over backwards to make more developments. No, like these were inevitable developments. And maybe he could have stretched, I mean, because it's a 14-book series, he maybe could have stretched them out to more books, but at the same time, I think it was good to have it in this book as it is too. So no, I think it's gone pretty well. I think this book did it well, having this many developments in it at the same time. I mean, I guess I could say Erica, one of the main characters, she's a very good spy, but she's thrown into skiing, which she's very not good at all. And it's just like the one thing she can't do.
I am still trying to understand, why are the spies getting thrown into skiing? How is that an entire book?
Because the bad guys are at the ski lodge.
Okay.
And they have to blend in with the teenagers of the bad guys too. Something like that. It's been a little while since I've read this book, but I did enjoy this one the most at the time. So I was like, this is a good one. I mean, they're all pretty good. This author does a lot of current political topics just in kids' story form. So actually, some of them you might actually like. Like one of them, he deals with doxing and how that's bad.
Wait, doxing is bad?
Well, yeah, And the other series, the Fun Jungle series that he also does, deals with just a whole lot of environmental issues with animals. Every book is, how do we save this animal? How do we save this animal? Just hidden in a young adult mystery. Yes, Spy Ski School, that's a good one. You should just read the first 4 books, Ryan. You don't have to go all the way to book 14. Just read the first 4.
There are 14 books
in this series, and there are 10 primary works in Fun Jungle. The newest Fun Jungle book just came out, and I'm reading the newest Fun Jungle book right now, called Ape Escape. I think I like Spy School a little bit better. Actually, I liked his space series, but it only ended in 3 books, which I felt was too bad. I mean, the plot demanded it ended in 3 books, but it would have been nice if that series had continued somehow. What do you got for your last one? Sorry, you're looking at the books?
Well, no, I'm looking at books because I was quickly trying to decide what my new second pick was going to be.
Because I ruined it.
Because my first choice was going to be the Dan Morin books, but since those are off the table, I was thinking about potential other things that I could talk about. So I decided I'm going to talk about a book that I would consider a spy story, Shadow of the Hegemon. So this is the first book on Earth from the Ender's Shadow series, which is essentially the story of Bean and his life, starting with the parallel story with him and Ender in Ender's Shadow. And then where Ender goes off into space, he returns to Earth after they've won the war. And the Earth doesn't really deal well with no longer having the unifying enemy. You have all these highly trained and super intelligent students and kids who have been basically taught one thing, how to fight, and every government wants to use them to make sure that they are the most powerful thing now in this post-war world. So, the story of the Shadow of the Hegemon begins with, well, most of the members of Ender's inner circle, his Geesh, getting kidnapped. And Bean realized that this was happening and went into hiding before he could get kidnapped or killed. And the story is him essentially working through and working behind the scenes to try to free his old friends, but also, especially later, what they do to infiltrate and manipulate different countries to gain power enough to free everyone. The main impetus of this is the fact that the one who is behind the scenes manipulating all these different countries into this power struggle is a boy named Ashiel, who is from Bean's past.
Yeah. You could nemesis. If you don't count Ender as Bean's nemesis, then Ashiel would be Bean's nemesis.
Oh, I definitely wouldn't consider him a nemesis. I would consider Ender his rival, not a nemesis.
Yes. Right. Yes, because they're on the same side, right?
Yes. Whereas Bean and Ashiel definitely are nemeses.
Yes. They're opposite sides.
Yes. Basically, both highly intelligent, both willing to disregard normal limitations that people have on, morality, dignity, for some end goal. The difference is Bean at least has some morality, where Ashiel only cares about himself.
And the biggest problem is that Bean has a ticking clock.
Unfortunately, he does, and he realizes this in this story.
Okay.
He doesn't realize what that ticking clock means until this story. Yeah. So, all in all, I really enjoy the story. This is the one where it is a lot about manipulating different governments and trying to take advantage of them to free a lot of people, and how they pass-coded messages to each other through various, generally because of when this was written, internet forums.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spam letters and internet forums is how you communicate secret messages to each other. Yeah. But all in all, it's a story that I remember reading a lot when I was younger. So I wanted to bring that one up because I realize that aside from like the Dan Morin books, spy thrillers aren't usually my go-to genre.
I mean, The Man Who Was Thursday.
The Man Who Was Thursday, I don't know if that could be a spy drama. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is a spy drama. What am I talking about? That is a spy drama. But I guess the reason I didn't think about that is because we've already covered it.
Yes, we have. Yeah. You already picked it.
Yeah, I already picked that one long time ago. And because I already covered it, I didn't want to bring that one back up. I always want to talk about new things. It's just, I guess it's just not my normal go-to, especially because when I think of your quintessential spy books, I think of your James Bond books. I think of your Tom Clancy novels. I think of the Bourne Identity books. I think of, what's one that I always hear of? I always hear of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Yeah.
But I've never read it.
Yeah. When I looked up books on Goodreads, like, oh, what are the spy books? Maybe I've read one. They had the Jack Reacher series of books that I've been reading listed there. And I would not say that Jack Reacher is a spy. He's solving crimes with excessive violence. But he's not a spy. He's a military man solving military crimes. So they listed it there. And to my recollection, there might have been one or two books that dealt with spies that were on American soil that he's solving the crime and they're the bad guy. So that might be true. But that doesn't mean it's even a spy book. That just means the villain is a spy. Because the main character is not a spy. The main character is a detective. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess some people could think it's... I don't think it that way.
I guess one of the things that I do realize, and this is probably going to come up a little bit in when we talk about the main media, is the fact that I realize about myself that if a book gets too tense, I need to put it down. I can't just binge read overly tense books.
Is that why it took a little longer to read this book even?
Yeah, there were a couple of times where I was like, I just need a break. I am feeling too wound up because of the tenseness that I just was like, I can't. I just need to take like an hour off of reading this book. Which, I mean, it's a good book that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I think I have the opposite. When a book gets going, I want to keep reading.
When the book gets going, and if it is like a character drama tenseness, I'm drawn in. If it is the kind of you cannot trust anyone kind of tenseness and everything is falling apart kind of tenseness, that tends to make me feel very anxious. And that's not always a pleasure read for me. But let's talk about how this one definitely was a very good read for me.
Brian, I made you read a book.
Yes. Yes, you did.
I made you read The Relentless Moon by Mary Robinette Kowal.
This was book 3 of the Lady Astronaut series.
Yep. And yes, everyone should go read this and then come back. And of course, everyone should read books 1 and 2 also. They are a pretty good lead into this book. While you don't need to read them, I guess, there's a lot of world building that goes on in book 1. And 2 is a good book too. It's less required for this book. I would
argue that it's better to read number 2 before you read this one because certain things are revealed
Yes, that's true. If you're going to read all three, definitely read 2 first.
Yeah, because there are certain things that are revealed about the content of what happens in number 2, because the thing about book number 3 is it is happening parallel to book 2. While book 2 is following Elma and her travels to Mars, book 3 follows a very different character as she is dealing with the things that are happening on Earth. It is Nicole Wargan, who is introduced in books 1 and 2, but now she is the main point of view character.
Right. She becomes the main point of view character for this book.
So, the elevator pitch is essentially Nicole Wargan is set to be one of the moon colony settlers. And while she is there, she is instructed by the head of the IAC to keep an eye out because there have been increased incidents of sabotage. And this sabotage seems to be from the inside. So she needs to pull out all of her past experiences and her skills to root out the spies amongst them. Dun dun dun. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, I'm going to say I enjoyed this a lot.
Yes.
Among the 3 books, Calculating Stars, Faded Sky, and Relentless Moon, I will say that despite the fact that normally tense reading does not latch onto me because it builds up my anxieties, this is my favorite of the 3 books that you've had me read from this series so far.
Mm-hmm. And it was interesting because this time reading it through too, I was like, oh, it's a little bit slower in the first half than I remember. But then as soon as you hit the midway point, boom, does it pick up, right? You're like,
yeah,
man, can't put it down. In fact, I was looking at the podcast thing. I was like, wow, we still got 2 hours left. There's a lot more to go. I forgot about that. Like, there's lots of good stuff coming.
Yeah, I think there was just one moment because I realized that I had fallen behind in my reading and getting it ready. I was binge reading it and I realized that I had listened to like 5 hours of it in a row, and I was just feeling like tense in my body, and I was like, I need to set this down. But yeah.
Yep.
Because it is one of those stories where you're like, who do you trust?
Yep, it is good intensity. Well, I like that part of it.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I just realized that I need to allow myself to come down from that anxiety to continue reading well, because otherwise I will just sit there in my chair like hunched up, because I am not satisfied until like it is solved. So it is all the questions are going on in my head. I'm loving it. I'm drawn in, but I'm also taking on the anxiety of the main character into myself, and I'm like, that's just not healthy.
And I had forgotten that. I mean, I had forgotten one of the main plot points, that Kenneth dies. I had just totally forgotten that point.
Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, spoilers.
Yeah, sorry. Read the book already. Yeah, sorry, spoilers. But man, yes. I had totally forgotten that, and it's huge and disruptive.
And I have to say that there is something wonderful about the way that she writes, but also the fact that the author is also the audiobook reader. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if it's her skill as a reader or her skill as a writer or both. But like, just as she's getting through that part, like, I am sitting there, a grown adult man in my house, listening to this book, doing my best not to cry for her. Because, yeah, it hit me. And I mean, again, I'm not sure whether that's her skill as a writer or her skill as a reader or both. But yeah, that part is really, because you can really, really feel for her, and you feel her pain at a fundamental level, really. Because this is a person who, there are certain parts of their lives where they'll bump heads, but these are 2 people who love each other and have regularly talked about the fact that, like, if something happened to the other, they would be wrecked. And they talk about that at several points throughout the book. And so when it does happen, you know how wrecked she is.
Yep, it plays out like they said it would.
I really appreciated the fact that she was like, I am going to go and I am going to interrogate this man who is involved with the plot that ended up getting my husband killed. And you can just feel the cold rage. Oh, yeah.
Yep, good stuff. There were many other good characters.
Oh, yeah.
I did like Frisk, the British base commander, and I really, again, liked that when he got sidelined because of his illness.
He got poisoned.
Poisoned, yes, because he was poisoned by the bad guy.
Sugar cubes.
Yep. When it was discovered that he was poisoned with the sugar cubes, he was replaced by Eugene and Myrtle, which are characters from the first book, which you meet early on because that is where Alma and Nathaniel stay when they first come to Kansas in their plane. Great characters there. And Eugene is great in this as a leader, like just really pulls things together, knows what consequences actions have, and plays them wisely. Very good at that.
Yeah, I will say that all of those characters are just played so well. I think I would have been really, really tense if she had not trusted anyone. And so I was very grateful that while she was on the moon, she found this group of basically 4 people, including herself. So 3 people. So this group of 3 people who she could just trust. Mm-hmm. I mean, as much as she could trust anyone.
Right.
Because she talked about how, yes, I can trust all these people, but they are also the most likely suspects.
You're right. Mm-hmm. She's holding it in the back of her head that they could be wrong, but they are her friends. She's known them for a while, so she has a little bit more faith in them than everyone else.
Yeah. All in all, though, really, really great. All right. Can I talk about one of the things that I was like, oof, about?
Mm-hmm.
And that is the main villain, I guess is the best way to describe him. The main villain tried to defend his actions.
I know.
With some really out of context Bible verses and scripture. Yeah. His theology was so faulty.
You're of the belief that cult victims would not be all up to date on their theology so they'd know exactly what they mean by the verses they're using?
Well, more along the lines of, I think the big thing that got me was the fact that this happens in our modern day too, where people will misattribute the meaning of faith. Basically, they are trying to use faith to sanctify their actions rather than have their actions defined and chosen by their faith. So, as a human being, and in their own political leanings and their own misinformed place, are making decisions based on that, and then are trying to sanctify that by smacking a Bible verse on top of it.
Now, would you say, though, that Eugene's protestations to those verses being used...
I appreciated those.
Yes, okay. That's basically what I'm going for, yeah.
I really appreciated those, because like the first one they bring up is in...
Exodus?
What was it? Exodus 32. Every man of you put his sword on his thigh and go back and forth from the gate to the camp and kill every man and his brother. That section. That section is talking about how they had basically placed a god before God. But I did really appreciate that there were characters who represented their faith and said, look, you're taking things out of context. Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing that I appreciated about this story, because I also see myself in that role where I look at people who are trying to sanctify their actions by slapping a Bible verse onto the actions that they've chosen, not based out of their theology, but based out of their fears, usually.
Yep. I did think that Kurt, bringing it back to Kurt specifically, I did think that he was played very sneakily.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, in my head, I'm thinking, I'm not sure somebody would have been that sneaky, but I guess maybe he was.
Well, not just that. There's got to be something about you. If you can be that confident, that cocky, that forthright, when you have legitimately, through your actions, gotten one of your coworkers' husbands killed.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing, is he stole a letter that kept vital information from her that did lead to him getting killed.
Mm-hmm.
And because that letter was stolen from her, and yet he acted towards her with so much humanity, a faux kindness. And that is a aspect of his humanity that I'm like, how can you do that? If I had done anything that would have hurt my friends or my coworkers to that level, I don't know if I could have played it off that smoothly. I think that's the thing that I think about is he is being really cocky, really smooth, really, frankly, charming about this whole thing, while he is doing terrible things to the people around him.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And how can you smile and act charming and yet set up something where the people around you could very easily die around you? I don't know how you can balance those two things.
It's unnerving, right? You're reading through that and you're being like, whoa, how is he squaring some of these circles?
Yeah, I hate to diagnose because it's like, I hear that and I'm like, you've got to have some kind of detachment or like sociopathy to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. And to think that like he's giving hints and that will get him off. You gave hints of truths, not the full truth, and that's going to be okay. You're going to be.
But again, those hints were mostly to protect himself.
Yeah.
They basically allowed them to find the things that were wrong in the area that he was going to be in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if anything, again, she pointed this out in her final interview with him is you were just protecting yourself. You don't get to take a moral high ground for self-preservation.
Yep, he was something else. Mm-hmm.
He was really something else, because I look at that and I go, I don't know how a person can carry that off. But again, I'm also not a person who generally understands that level of mentality, shall I say.
Yep.
There are other people in the world who do other things that I find terrible that I'm like, I don't know how you can carry on with yourself, but you do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I look at the world and think, generally I would think that people want to be good or want to be moral people. And unfortunately, I don't always see that represented in humanity.
What do you think of the fact that this book also has Nicole trying to solve all the problems and realizing that she can't be the one to solve all the problems? I mean, this is a similar theme to the second book where Elma keeps trying to solve all the problems and realizing that she's not always the appropriate person to solve the problem.
Well, I think the difference is Elma's trying to solve the problems because that's her personality. Whereas I feel like in this one, Nicole's trying to solve the problems because she doesn't trust anyone else.
She's not trusting. Yeah, I think that is true.
It's the difference of Elma wants to fix everything, and Nicole is like, I can't trust anyone else to do this.
Yeah, I guess so. That is true. Do you have any thoughts on the eating disorders that were brought up in the book?
Yeah, it's difficult to say anything.
I mean, I think it was handled well, but as somebody who doesn't struggle, I can't really say.
But it is a level of wanting control. And I do appreciate the nuance that she approached it with. Mm-hmm. But again, I am speaking from a place of ignorance. So having not experienced that myself, I appreciated the way it was approached, and it seemed to be approached with dignity, with respect. But again, I'm not somebody who has suffered with that, so I cannot say if it was done with the amount of respect it deserves, because I don't know. Yeah, I struggle on the opposite end of it.
Me too. Not forgetting to eat is not a thing that I strive, but I mean, I understand that people would. Good. Yeah, great book. You had mentioned this, that it is a little bit silly to think that this book that doesn't have Elma in it is our favorite book of the series. Elma, the main character of the series, is not our favorite book of the series.
Yeah.
This one is a mystery story, right? The other ones are space exploration stories.
I think the big difference is in Elma's stories, they focus on, here's a problem, let's solve the problem.
Right.
In this story, it's a mystery.
Right.
And I think the big thing for me is also because of the personalities of the two characters, Elma and Nicole, I felt I understood and liked Nicole better than I liked Elma.
Mm-hmm. Although I do think I like Nathaniel better than Kenneth. Now, part of it's because Nathaniel's a scientist and Kenneth is a politician.
Yeah.
I do think I like that
dynamic better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I like that dynamic better because of Nathaniel's personality.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I think the way they both approach their relationship, I think is good. Mm-hmm. Although I really appreciated fleshing out Nathaniel's character a bit more in this book.
Yes. And the problems that he was going through while Elma was away and on her trip to Mars. Mm-hmm.
Yes, because I feel like oftentimes when viewed through Elma's eyes, Nathaniel is this perfect man.
Yes.
And this one showed he's not quite perfect.
Yep. Especially when Elma's not around.
Yeah. But yeah, I think because of the way that Nicole approaches problems, I understood and liked her approach a lot better than I liked Elma's. I think I latched onto her as a character more than I do Elma. Mm-hmm. I like them both, but I think I like Nicole a bit more.
But now she's stuck on Earth.
Well, now she's not just stuck on Earth. And now this book is supposed to take place at the 60s?
Late 50s.
Late 50s?
I think it's late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah, late 50s, early 60s. So, spoilers for the end of the book. By the end of the late 50s or early 60s, we have our first female president.
Yeah. I mean, it was perfect for her to ride it sounds callous, but ride the coattails of her husband's death to become the president that the country needed, I guess.
Yeah, but she also leveraged all that to not only be the president the country needed, but also then leverage the future hope for humanity in being able to escape the thing that the Earth is going to become.
Right.
But also, it gives her, personally, a venue to make sure the people who did this to her and did this to her family don't continue to have any power or ability to do so.
Right. Well, I mean, the country needs, at this point, the leader that can say, yes, we care about Earth, and yes, we're going to care about the people that are going to be left behind, because she is going to be one of those people that's left behind. But we also need to focus on the people that can get away. There needs to be focus there, because otherwise nobody's going to get away and everyone's going to be stuck. And that's not an acceptable situation. Yes, not everyone's going to get away, and that's going to be rough. And there needs to be focus on that. But there also needs to be focus on the people that get away too. So
all in all, good book.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Not next. My next pick, I'll have you read the fourth one.
Yeah, but we got a little time before then because we have a couple of things coming up, I think. So, Nate, Next time I'm going to have you read a space book.
Sounds good, Ryan.
Specifically, I'm going to have you read a book that, as of our recording, the movie has just come out for.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I'm talking, we're going to read Project Hail Mary.
Sounds good.
So we're going to read it, and then we're going to talk about it, and we're going to compare it to the movie as well.
Yes, because we saw the movie in the same theater, in the same room at the same time.
Yep.
So yep, we'll be talking about that as well.
Sounds like a plan. We hope you found something nice about this hill that we were willing to die on, and we appreciate all of our listeners coming along on this journey with us. But if you ever thought, hey, I really like these guys and what they do, and I just wish I could support them, you can. Visit myhilltodieon.com/members for more details. But what does it mean to be a member? Well, for the low price of $2 a month, you can help support this podcast. And by doing so, you'll get access to the members-only podcast, Not My Hill, which is where we discuss things that are probably someone else's hill to die on. We have very strong feelings about them, but as the title says, they're definitely not hills we'd be willing to die on. In addition to that, you'll get access to the suggestion form where you can make suggestions for our Listener Hill episodes where we will watch, read, or climb up a hill that you're willing to die on, and we'll talk all about it. But know that the conversation doesn't have to end here. The discussion can continue with us through Reddit at the subreddit My Hill to Die On, or by contacting us through email, which is, to no one's surprise, myhilltodieon@gmail.com. And finally, we upload all our episodes to our YouTube channel, also named, say it with me now, folks, My Hill to Die On.
All right, good. And recording again. Excellent.
Yep, and apparently I never stopped recording.
No.
We'll see how well that picked up all the moving. Yeah, it's not perfect. It's not great even, but it is better than it was.
Okay.
So there might still be some echo in our recording.
Yeah, well.
I'm not happy about that.
Luckily, this construction is only for like 2 months, so we won't have to make too many changes.
No. So I want to tell you something that made me laugh. So you know how because of next year, they're moving me to a classroom?
Mm-hmm.
The current proposal for the classroom is making me laugh way too much. They're talking about putting me in the same classroom as Keith.
Somebody did mention that.
It just made me laugh that I was like, have they thought through that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'll be professional and we'll actually get our job done. But it was just one of those moments where I was like, that is an interesting choice.
Well, you're moving from me, who you talk to all the time, to Keith, who you talk to all the time.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, apparently they think I need to talk to somebody all the time. Because I have strong feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And, putting strong feelings on the internet never goes badly.